Yo, what is going on, you guys? Bash and Joe here, and today, guys, I'm coming at you with my top 5 budget decks for the current format, guys. Budget decks are something that has pretty much come and gone as far as something that is playable, unplayable. Is it rogue? Is it tier 2, tier 1? We really don't know until you actually get into the format. And now that we're a few weeks into the current format, now that we got the balance out the way, we got Cyberstorm Access out the way, all we really know is that new Sky Striker card is going to be coming out, and then we will see there might be some shake up here. But I'm going to give you guys my top 5 best budget decks. Now, budget decks is subjective as to what is budget for yourself. For my budget category, I'm keeping the budget category pretty open as far as anywhere from around $100 should get you the entirety of the deck. Staples can come and go here and there, but essentially you get the entire core of the deck for $100 or less. Now, if you guys want me to make an even further budget list, making decks under $40 or even $50 or even $30 for that matter, with just some structured decks potentially, definitely go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below and I'll get that out to you guys. But this is going to be budget decks for under $100. Let's get started. At number 5, guys, I have Traptrix. So Traptrix has been one of the better budget decks for a while now, and with the decrease in popularity of the deck, I really don't know why, because the deck can actually play very well, especially against Kashtira, by playing cards like Floodgate Trap Hole, by playing a whole bunch of assortment of trap cards that really mess with the overall deck strategy to perform. Also hurts a lot of the top meta contenders out there. For being a trap deck as well, Traptrix is quite consistent, very consistent. Actually, I might say, as long as you see one Traptrix monster in your hand and 4 traps, or however many traps, as long as you have a combination of either of the two, you are good to go ahead and go off as far as you want in your combo. You can even overextend if you want for making a massive board. Be careful for Nibiru, unless it's game 1, in which case you should be okay, but I don't know, I always like to play it safe, keep it conservative for Spec Nibiru, things of that nature. But honestly, I think the deck is absolutely really good. Fleege is still an insane card. Adipus is still ridiculous for OTKs. Traptrix Sarah is wild, and Holitea just brings the entire deck together, gives it that much more consistency and that much more ability to play on turn 1. Honestly, I think people are sleeping on Traptrix, and I think they need to give a bit of a relook as far as what that can actually really do in the right hands. At number 4, guys, I have Wanderies. So Wanderies is a deck that's been dirt cheap for a while now. I mean, actually, and Barrier Statue is now gone, so it's less of a brain dead deck. We just summon out the Barrier Statue and you pretty much sit at your opponent because they can't do anything, right? Honestly, I think Wanderies is one of the best decks of the current format. I just think that, honestly, with its surprising amount of resilience that the deck has, with the amount of chain blocking it can do, with how inexpensive the actual core of the deck is. I'm pretty sure you can get the entire Wanderies core, including the Advent of Adventures, for like $50, and then the entire rest of it you have to get like Pot of Extravagance, Pot of Duality. If you have a little extra cash, go ahead and make sure you get some Pot of Prosperities, because they are much better for the strategy. You can just as well play Pot of Extravagance, you guys should be okay. At one of locals a few weeks back, I actually took Wanderies without the quick play spell, without Advent of Adventure, and actually got 3rd place with it. So it is something that you have to take into consideration. The deck has a lot of firepower, a lot more than people know. It has still play Floodgates, still has Harpy's Feather Storm in its arsenal, still one of the most insane cards out there, can break boards, can make boards. It is very good at doing what it does, which is normal summoning birds, and also, yes, being a pain in everyone's behind. At number 3, guys, for the top budget decks, I have Sky Striker. So Sky Striker has fallen a little bit on my list as far as viability. I thought it would be a lot more consistent. I thought it would be a lot better than it actually is at the moment. Main issue with Sky Striker, I think, guys, is that it is made to be a going second deck, and if your opponent makes you go first, unless you can draw find a way to get there can be only one, kinda sucks. So the Sky Striker cards are made perfectly to break boards, right? And then it becomes a simplified game state. You search with Shizuku, you search Engage, and you're good to go from there. Issue with that, if you go first, really, you're only going first place to make Tikaboo, and if you make Tikaboo and you go up against Vanquish Soul, you're really out of luck, because Vanquish Soul is one of the best decks of the format. Our first or second best, depending on who you ask. I still say Kashtira is right here, and the Vanquish Soul is right here. It's a very close matchup, but honestly, I just don't think it can catch up with those type of decks. Again, as far as being one of the best board-breaking decks in the meta, Sky Striker has everybody beat. With the new Sky Striker card coming out as well, that is something to take into consideration. It is potentially worth playing some of those other Sky Striker support that we are getting, so we get one dark and one light on the field. But there are other ways to do this as well. You can normal summon your Effect Veiler. You can go a multitude of different routes to go ahead and achieve this. However, all things being said, guys, honestly, the Sky Striker Link is extremely generic. I don't think it's going to be the most powerful in Sky Striker because of its summoning conditions, how it needs specifically a dark and or a 2 darks and or light monsters, I think it's the summoning condition. So you know, you need to go ahead and summon Rose, but you kind of want to send Rose off Hayate, so it's a little bit conflicting as far as that's concerned. But regardless, I mean, if you're going second with Sky Striker and you know what you're doing, you're managing your resources very, very well, you guys should be good to go from there. I always say that's where you gain the advantage, essentially, because game 1 you will naturally go second, your opponent will always want to go first, and you will let your opponent go first, right? Game 2, they might make you go first, which might be a little bit of a disadvantage, again, unless you can go ahead and get to that Tikaboo. And then game 3, you make them go first, you break their board, and you should be good to go from there. So make sure you Sidons and Cosmic Cyclones or MSTs, so you go ahead and deal with their anti-spell fragrance, which they will 100% have. Number 2 on our list, guys, I actually have Gold Pride. Of all decks, Gold Pride is an extremely powerful deck, and I did not know how strong it really was until I just went up against it this past weekend. So now that I understand that the deck is wildly interruptive and extremely frustrating is not the right word. I was just very, very caught off guard at how good this deck is and how consistently it can go ahead and get out Roller Baller. It can go ahead and fusion summon on their opponent's turn, take all their monsters and equip as a material, so you can't really like snatch steal them back or whatever, or change your heart them back, or triple tactics them back. They're in your opponent's spell and trap card zone now, and that's really unfortunate. Especially going up against the best decks right now. If you take Vanquish Souls monsters, then they can't activate their effects to go ahead and, you know, and I don't believe it targets either, which is actually just ridiculous. So honestly, I think people are very, very much sleeping on Gold Pride. Gold Pride Punk or Gold Pride, it really just depends on what your personal preference is. But honestly, I think the deck is very, very much slept on. I think I mean, I look at the cards right now. I think 2 of the cards right now are going for like $10 each, which you need 3 of, so that's $60 right there. But the rest of the deck is like a $2, $4, $5, and then a whole bunch of 95-cent cards, right? So it's a very, very affordable deck. I think if you can consistently get out Roller Baller, as long as you can get Roller Baller on the field, yeah, it should be good to go. Honestly, the deck is a menace. The deck is an absolute menace to go up against. It can just do a lot of nutty things, interrupt your opponent consistently. The trap card, the super rare trap card, is actually really, really good. It would pop monster your opponent controls, and then I think it like gets you even more advantage. The start your engines, really, really good card as well. So honestly, I think people sleeping on this deck. I think it can do a lot of things. It really just depends on how good the pilot is and how committed you are in truly learning the strategy. And for my number 1 budget deck, guys, this has still not changed. I do still believe Sword Soul is going to be the number 1 best budget deck for you guys out there. The recipe has not changed whatsoever. If you guys want to see a recipe for what normal Sword Soul is like, I should be uploading something later on this week, so you guys can go ahead and get a glimpse of more or less what the ideal Sword Soul deck should look like for you budget players out there. It's really, really an inexpensive deck. You pick up the entire core for less than $100, and then you have to get maybe a few staples, maybe some Pot of Desires, which is like a $1 card. You can really choose whatever you want as far as your board breaker to be. You can go ahead and play Evenlies in the main, Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse if you want. You can play Triple Tactics Talents. You can play Dark Ruler No More in the main. You can make it going second, going first. Really, Sword Soul can do either or, and honestly, it's just one of the best decks of the format. While Baron is going to be the most expensive card in the deck can play without it. Of course, you would prefer to play with it, but even just ending on the Xishao Long Yuan is still enough to go ahead and get you a lot of advantage moving forward. So honestly, I think Sword Soul still has what it takes to be one of the best decks of the format. I still believe it is one of the best decks of the format. It is by far not by far, but it definitely is the number 1 budget deck of the format. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys agree or disagree? Is there a deck that I missed that you think is budget and is really, really good? Let me know in the comment section down below. We'll talk about it overall. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.